Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode. Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 552. We're a couple minutes late, but better late than never. We're here, we're back, we're ready to answer your questions. Well, we're not, but Bradley is. So we are going to get into questions here in a little bit. Bradley, what does the question load look like today? We got a bunch or just a few?
We got enough to keep me busy for a minute.
All right, fair enough. Well, while Bradley gets going with some of the tech stuff in the background, getting the redirect going so that you can watch if you're joining us live. If you're not live, just hang on for a second. We've got a couple quick announcements and then we're going to jump into questions. Also, if you didn't know, you can always ask questions ahead of time to watch us, to watch Hump Day Hangouts. You just go to semanticmastery.com/HDHO for Hump Day Hangouts. And when you do that, if it's live, you'll see us and you can interact, you can chat in the chat box. But if we're not live, it's going to be redirected to a page where you can enter your questions, you can ask questions of AI, Bradley, or you can check out the past episode, whatever it is you want to do, we got you covered there. All right, so first things first, going to say hello to the guys, and then we got a couple things to run through. So Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Was busy out in the morning.
Sorry.
Took a nice walk on the Danube and
Nice.
then hit the gym, and the rest I spent in the lab cooking up some stuff.
Nice. Well, it has definitely warmed up here, so I'm guessing, Bradley, you're going to say the same thing, but how are things going with you? Are you nice and toasty?
Yeah, I still don't have water. My fucking house. God damn, man, I'm so irritated with this. It's been tomorrow. It's 2 weeks without water, and I still can't get a plumber was going to come out. And he called me 15 minutes ago and said, "Hey, I'm on my way." And I said, "I teach a class at 4 p.m. and I'm going to be. I don't get done till 5 p.m." He said, "Well, then I'm going to have to come tomorrow." It's like, fuck. I've been waiting. I don't have any water. I'm trying to get water back. I can't get any plumbers out here. So and now it's hot as hell. Fortunately, the air conditioner works. so at least I have that, but it's been a bit of a nightmare, and it's going to be, I don't know when I'm going to get water back on, to be honest with you. So next week I'm going to go to my folks' lake house and to go spend the week there because it's 4th of July week anyway, and that way at least I'll have running water. So I'm hoping that sometime between now and when I come back the following week that I can get the plumber out here. I got a lockbox here that I left so that I can have a contractor come in and out if he needs to, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
just hoping to get this resolved, especially because it's been so stupid hot. So, but yeah, it's dumb hot here. I think it is across most of the country, but I think we're going to get some relief over the next couple of days. So
Nice. Well, you know what is not a nightmare is the DHA training, which opened up on Monday. We've already had people signing up, getting their onboarding calls with Bradley,
yes.
which if you're not familiar with how this works with DHA, which we're going to talk about in just a second, but the way this works is you register for a call with Bradley so that you and Bradley can make sure that it's a good fit. Okay. And it's just consider it's a small down payment on the course and the training. And if you or Bradley decides it's not a good fit, no harm, no foul. After the call, refund it 100%, go on your way. That's fine. If you do decide it's a good fit, Bradley decides you're a good fit for the program, then that gets applied and you're in for the next phase, which will start here in early July. And that's the way we do it. Want to make sure that both you feel good about this and we feel good about this, that you're ready to take this on and get started and really put this stuff to work. So, now that I've covered the entrance a little bit, Bradley, do you mind reminding people a little bit about DHA? And I just want to add in too that this is going to end. The enrollment ends Friday at midnight. So if you're interested in this, you've basically got 2 days and a few hours to take action on this. You can find out more at dha.semanticmastery.com.
Yeah, so I had two interview calls today, and it's just a process to go through, like an application interview, so that I can determine if it's a good fit. Because I just want to ask you some questions about, your current status in your business and what time you have available and that kind of stuff. And so I don't want to bring people into the program that may not be able to complete it. So I'm kind of trying to feel you out a bit to determine if it's a good fit or not. And if it's not, I'll let you know. And if it is a good fit, then you're accepted in the program. You're not obligated to join, but we'll send you the checkout payment links and that kind of stuff. But you guys, things are shifting so much as far as what we should be doing as SEOs. It's like the handwriting's on the wall. Traditional search is dying very quickly. It's even starting to affect local more and more. And that we have to shift. And something that I'm working on is, how do we shift and stay relevant as Google search engine optimization is kind of declining, like in its importance, so to speak. Still important now, but it's not going to be for much longer, is the point, because of how everybody's shifting away to different various kind of chat apps or language models that they're using to do searches and that kind of stuff. So how do we prepare, and how do we evolve so that we can stay relevant and stay needed, right, in demand by local businesses? Because remember, our audience is for local SEO. So how do we do that? Well, I think publishing branded content across multiple platforms in various formats, various media formats, all that kind of stuff, so that there's more chances for language models to ingest the content. But it's always branded content tying back the products or services to the company, as well as the areas in which those products or services are provided. So it's localized branded content to help increase the chances or the likelihood of a brand being referenced in a language, an AI chat, when somebody is querying about products or services in a local market. You see what I'm saying? So if that's what our goal should be as marketing professionals now, and not just SEOs, then I think it's important to, find ways to do that with AI and everything. It's going to make it I think it's going to be a lot easier to do that kind of stuff now. And that's what I'm working on, is developing like a syndication academy, an IFTTT, like syndication academy type of an app, but one that's got an AI integration. And so I hired some developers to start developing that for me. I started messing with it myself, but I don't have the bandwidth to do it and to complete it. So I hired some developers to do that, and we're going to be talking more about that as that develops a little bit further. And I assume we're going to have that done in just a few short weeks. So, but here's the thing, as it relates to DHA, to get back to the original kind of thing that Adam prompted me to talk about, is if our jobs are going to become easier because we can develop AI apps that can create content, reformat it and republish it, then our jobs will be easier in the execution of getting results for our clients. But so what would be the next thing that we should be focusing on then? If we're able to develop that, which I fully believe that can be done, then we should be focusing on how to be more effective in the messaging. So whatever content we're producing for our clients will convert better, right? Help them to secure more sales, more leads, whatever it is that their conversion goals are. But then number two, how do we market our services effectively so that we can sell it? Do you see what I'm saying? I think the execution of getting results for clients in today's environment, and as I see it kind of in my assumption or my prediction of how it's going to evolve, is that it will be easier for us to get the results for our clients because of automation and AI, et cetera, if we have effective marketing, right? Effective copy. And if we find ways to then and become effective at selling our services, that as a service to local businesses. So the DHA is that selling part of it, right? That's the front end of it. It's the tip of the spear. It's identifying a particular industry and then creating a automated outreach campaign that will initiate conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've selected. And it kind of warms them up to get them onto eventually a call, which is what I call a listing delivery call, but then it's really the start of the sales conversation. And so this whole process, this DHA program, phase one, is about building that marketing and lead generation machine for your own agency. Okay. In the coming months, as we develop more of the apps to execute this publishing of branded content and distributing it, then I think it's going to be a lot more automated for us to get the results for the client, to where it's going to be a lot more push button simple than it has been. At least that's my prediction. But so we need to really be focusing on trying to get a bunch of leads into our funnel, our pipeline as an agency, that then we can pitch and refine our pitch, dial it in so that we can get our offer just right. And we can figure out how to make it more compelling and get it to convert at a higher rate when we are pitching it. And so the DHA program is perfect for this, guys, because it's a very non-confrontational, non-salesy way to initiate conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've chosen, and we can help you select the industry. And then you, through the process of booking a bunch of different calls, you will learn very quickly what is effective and how to sell your services, whatever it is that you decide that you want to sell, to those business owners in that industry. And so the DHA process or model is perfect for that. It's a consistent lead generation system for my own agency that, unlike anything I've experienced before, and I've implemented the same type of a cold email strategy into multiple agencies now, and that is how we grow all of our agencies, is through cold email. And so I think now it's going to be the same process of generating leads, and the sales part doesn't change, but what we are selling does change, and the fulfillment of what we are selling is changing very rapidly. So because I think it's going to become easier for us to do the fulfillment side of things because of automation and AI, et cetera, then I think we should be focusing more on the front end marketing and sales side. And that's precisely what the DHA model is all about, guys. So if you're interested in it, if you have trouble landing, generating leads for your own agency, this I think, is the best time right now to get involved with that, so that you can build a lead generation machine for your own agency. Get started now, and in 3 or 4 months, three months from now, we're going to start officially on July 7th, Monday, July 7th. But in 3 or 4 months from now, you could have a pipeline full of leads, with new leads coming in every day. Time right now to get in. So that's it.
Awesome. Sorry, I had the video going as I was about to trying to switch into the right account. Anyways, Bradley, appreciate you going over that stuff. I'm going to put the link on. If you're watching live, it's there. If you're going to be watching the replay, we'll probably put it as a comment as well. But dha.semanticmastery.com. 2 days till enrollment shuts down, and that'll be shut down again until the fall at some point, where we run the third and final cohort of the year. So with that said, I guess that is it for now. Let's jump into questions.
Okay, good. We got a handful. A few of these are YouTube comments I'm not sure about, but we'll get to them when we can. All right, I'll try to cover them if possible. All right, so the first one is from Michael. He says, does anyone have a consistent way to remove negative reviews from a GBP? I've seen some GBPs manage to get their reviews taken down by Google pretty consistently, but never managed to do it myself. I know you can report it to Google, feels very much like a black hole, but wondering if you flag with multiple accounts, if that helps, or if there's any other methodology I'm missing. You know, I've been successful myself without doing anything elaborate at getting reviews taken down for clients, or even for my own stuff. Like, for example, somebody published a shitty review on one of my agency GBPs that wasn't a client. There's no record of them ever purchasing anything. So it's probably just somebody that didn't like one of my YouTube videos or whatever. In any case, all I did was I just reported it to Google. I just, flagged as inappropriate. And I can't remember what the exact process was, but within 24 hours, it was gone. It was down like that. It was so, and I've done that with a few clients as well. And I just had one of my, a roofing client of mine. It's been a legacy client of mine since I first got started as an agency. He's been with me ever since. He contacted me a couple days. Well, it was about 2 weeks ago now, really, to say that he had, he started getting, he's real review sensitive. This guy always has been. And he had like 2 negative reviews posted from non-clients, non-customers, right? So it was pure, it was clearly, excuse me, it was clearly a competitor that had, was either publishing fake reviews, negative reviews, or they hired somebody to do it. Well, interestingly enough, like I walked him through like what I told, because the same thing, he was asking a similar question. I told him, well, look, this is what I've done in the past, and I've been able to get them taken down. And there is the ability to contact Google directly. And look, if you can state the case that there's no history of that customer and things like that, if there's any way that you can prove it, then they'll take it down. I know, because they've done it, right? And so for my roofing client, he was able to, I sent him a link. Let me show you the link. I'll give it to you in chat, right? Or I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Google, is it Maps? Let's see, get support for your Google business profile. I'm just looking for that really quickly, guys. There's a specific URL that I use that will get you to the point where you can publish or ask Google for help and you can actually send in a phone call. So like you can request a callback, and I'll find the link and I'll post it in the replay, guys. I'll make sure that it's added to the replay because I have to find it right now. But anyway, what happens is it's a Google help file or whatever, but it gives you the prompts where it says, hey, if you need to contact Google support, there's a few ways: chat, voice call, email. I think those are the three. And if you request a callback, so voice call, they'll call you within a matter of like minutes. Like, no kidding. You just click, yeah, request a call back, blah, blah, blah. And I guess you enter your phone number or whatever. And usually within like 3 to 5 minutes, you get a call back from Google. And so I've used that a number of times to have things resolved when there were issues with the GBP. I've had duplicate GBPs merged so that when there was a duplicate GBP that might have had a rogue review or two on it that the client wants to keep, but we wanted to eliminate the duplicate GBP, I'd contact Google support and I would say, look, here's the original that we want to keep, and here's the duplicate that who knows how that got created, but we want to merge the two. I've had that done. I've had verifications done or address changes done via this support option. That was a few years ago because now everything's done through video verification. But I'm just giving you guys some heads up that there is a way to contact Google, and sometimes they're helpful if you have data to back it up. So when I find the link, I'll post it in so that it'll be available for the replay. But have I ever used any services for that? No. I think there are services out there that will do like negative review removals or that kind of stuff. I don't know how they work, to be honest with you, but you could look into it. As far as, like I said, in my own experience, I've done it a number of times on my own using the Google support option, and just telling them that sometimes just flagging the review, flagging it for multiple accounts too would probably work good, especially if they're local guide accounts, Google local guide accounts. Okay. It says, let's see, we got a couple of comments that might be relevant to this discussion. So Deva Bennett says, my client is in India and he services in USA. Now Google asks for video verification, all documents he has to related USA. How to ask Google for alternative verification methods, please answer. I don't know. If Google prompts video verification, I have no idea how to overcome that. You have to do it. Yeah. From what I understand, if Google triggers video verification, you can't do anything about it but verify it via video. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I also don't try to get GBPs anymore because of all that stuff, unless it's a real valid business location that we can verify via video if needed. Then I will get GBPs, or I hope a client get a GBP, if that makes sense. But I don't mess with trying to get GBPs anymore that aren't valid business locations, that have a physical business location that the GBP can be verified too, because it's almost impossible anymore. I know there's still some black hat methods out there to get it done. I don't teach those, and I'm not going to teach those because, in my opinion, if you try to get a GBP verified when it's not an actual valid business location, or you use some of those black hat techniques, my experience is that those GBPs either never perform well or they suspend easy. Like anything that you do to them, or just randomly, even if you don't do anything to them, they will just automatically be suspended at some point in the future. I've had that happen dozens and dozens of times. And so I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of that shit. And so I'm not going to teach that anymore. As far as I'm concerned, if Google triggers the video verification, I don't think you can do anything about it. I could be wrong, but again, I'm not trying to spam GBP listings anymore. I'm not saying what you're doing is spammy. I understand that's a valid reason to try to get a GBP when you're operating in the US, but you're outside of the US. You want to have a local presence in the US, but you'd have to try to get somebody to work with you that then you could verify a business to their location and have them conduct the video verification process for you. That's the only thing I could think of, right? If anybody else has any ideas that are watching, please comment. Let us know, because I don't mess with that anymore. That's part of the reason why I developed the DHA program, and we do things like build local lead generation assets and organic assets only without the maps component. And we use those as sales tools because I will work with local business clients that either don't have a GBP or they need to move a GBP or something, because as long as they have a valid business location, which all local businesses typically are going to have a valid business location, then I know that I can get it reinstated or re-verified if needed. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why I don't even mess with doing GBP stuff anymore unless they're real valid business locations. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't give you a better answer. but that's the best that I can do. James says, what percent of book meetings would you estimate are no-shows? It varies. I'd say about half. And for that half hour that you blocked, so James is saying it's probably half of them that don't show at least the first time. And then typically I will send them, look, I get it with tree service contractors and pretty much any local business. They're busy, right? Remember, a lot of local business, unless they're a larger company that has like, a clear organizational structure and, that kind of stuff where the owner is insulated from, but remember, most local businesses are they're self-employed, right? Meaning they're actually in the business working on a daily basis, managing all that kind of stuff. And so I get it. They'll book an appointment because at the time that they're considering it, they don't have any fires to put out, right? They assume that they're going to be available at that time. But then because of the what happens in the day-to-day operations of a business, we all know it, right? You're constantly putting out fires or playing whack-a-mole, right? There's always something that pops up that you have to address. And local business owners are no different than us. They experience that on a daily basis multiple times per day. And so if they don't make it to a call, it's probably because they got tied up on something. At least I give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that that's the case. So I will send a series of automated communications, reminding, like saying, hey, look, I understand you're busy. You probably got tied up on something. But this is important. I'd like to address this with you. Make sure that you're happy with your directory listing, blah, blah, blah. Plus, there's some issues. As I talked about, I think last week, somebody asked me something similar. It might have been James or who's IFO or somebody. But I will, it depends on how the initial booked appointment occurred, because there's kind of a sequence of messages that we will send out depending on when they book the call. If we send out a request for them to book the listing delivery appointment when the listing is ready, and that's an automated request that says, hey, we're ready to review your listing with you and let's jump on a call so we make sure it's accurate and that you're happy with it before we promote it. Pick a time on my calendar here, and we send them the link. But if they book a call, then great. Then if they don't show up to the call, then we can go right into the problem, agitate, solution sequence, which is that's copywriting 101, right? That's as old as time. Problem, agitate, solution framework, right? We introduce the problem, then we agitate it, and then we show them the solution, right? We provide them with a solution. And so that's what we can do. In the initial booked appointment sequence, that is available. That's an option if needed. So if they ask questions as to, like, when we send out that initial contact stating, hey, your listing is ready for review, let's jump on a call, review it together, make sure you're happy and it's accurate. Pick a time on my calendar here. And they're either going to book the call or they're going to ask questions like, okay, well, why do I need to get on a call for this? Can't you just send it to me for review? And then that's when we'll introduce the problem. Say, okay, well, yeah, but before we can promote it, we want to make sure you're happy. But in addition to just reviewing the listing, when we were publishing your listing, we identified some issues that are preventing you from getting jobs within the areas that you told us you want to get jobs within. We would like to address this with you on the call. Pick a time on my calendar. And then they're either going to pick a time on the calendar, book the call, or they're going to ask questions like, well, what problems did you identify? And in that case, again, the automated sequence says, well, this is where you told us you wanted to get jobs from. We send them a text message with the link to a screen, the service area radius map image. And then it says, well, this is where you're actually getting jobs from, only the areas in green, or at least where you're getting the jobs from Google, only the areas in green. And it sends them the local search grid report with the same shape, the same size as the map radius image. And it usually shows just a spot or a couple of spots of green in a great big sea of red. And so we say, we'd like to address this with you on the call and show you some, simple solutions to help you to start to resolve this. Pick a time on my calendar. And then they'll either book the call or they'll go dark, right? They'll go silent. And then we just plug them into a nurture sequence at that case. And if that's the case, excuse me. But if they booked a call before the problem, agitate, solution framework has been introduced, which happens, but then they don't show up, then that's when I'll introduce it, right? So I'll say, well, hey, look, I understand you missed your business or missed the appointment. You're a busy guy. You're sure you got tied up on a job or whatever. That's perfectly acceptable. I get it. Happens all the time. But this is important. I think you should we should jump on a call to review your listing before we can promote it. We want to make sure that it's accurate and that you're happy with it. And in addition to that, it's important that you do it, get on the call because we identified some problems. So we will introduce the problem agitate solution framework if needed upon the contact when we are trying to get them to reschedule from a missed appointment. Okay. Then if they already were introduced to that problem agitate solution framework before they booked the original call, then all we do is just continue to agitate it, right? Talk about how they're missing jobs, that they're competitors. And remember, guys, before I get on a call with the prospect, the initial call, the first call, I like to generate a local search grid report, a set of Bright local marketing reports from Bright Local, which includes organic rank tracking, local search tracking, reputation, citation tracking, and then reputation monitor. So I like to look at those, create that report so that it's available when we're on the listing delivery call, which again is the start of the sales conversation. So if they don't show up to the call, now we've got the local marketing reports that are available to use as kind of a visual aid to show them how they have a shitty presence, or they could at least improve their presence. Maybe it's not terrible, but they could at least improve it. And then we can use the data from the reports to push the pain or agitate the pain a little bit more. Meaning, hey, look, do you see how there's 4 other companies, and you point them out by name too, because trust me, your contact knows who their competitors are, right? And so if you reference them by name, their competitors by name, you're pushing that pain or agitating that pain a little bit more, right? And so that's why I said it, because of the way that we developed the whole communication sequences and everything else, we've established good communication. And so it's okay then to bring this stuff to their attention. I don't do that initially. I only do it if I'm trying to incentivize them more to get onto the call, right? So the total number is somewhere around half that don't make it to the initial call. And then from that, typically we'll get about, I don't know, maybe half of the ones that don't show up to book again a second time, if that's clear. It varies though. It really does. Lately I haven't had a lot of booked appointments, but I also haven't been trying as hard lately because I've been so tied up with my move and my new house and everything else. So, but anyway, hopefully that makes sense, James. Do you just do other stuff on the computer just in case they join 15 minutes late? It says, and for that half hour that you have blocked off, how do you spend it? Do you just do other stuff on the computer? Yes, of course. I always have other stuff available to do. Because remember, I do sales calls all the time, not just for TreeCare HQ, but for semantic links and everything else. And that happens. People show up late or they don't show. And so I'm not just going to sit there and look at a blank screen while I'm waiting for somebody to show up that may never show up. I always have stuff available that I can work on. And so when I start the Zoom meeting, depending on your settings, in mine, my screen will show a pop-up that notifies me when somebody has joined the meeting room. And so I always will be working on something else until they join. And then when I see that pop-up come up, then I'll open up the browser with all the tabs, because I always keep a tab, set of tabs open in in Chrome. You always have that option to add a tab group. And so I'll create a tab group specifically for the sales call. You see what I'm saying? And that'll be available so that when and if they show up for the call, all I click is that tab group. It opens up, boom, expands. And now I've got all the resources available and ready to go for the call. See what I'm saying? So I'll demonstrate that now. Let me pause the screen for a minute. Just make sure I don't have anything open that I shouldn't have open. Why is that not letting me? Oh, I don't know. Let's try this. Yeah, okay. So here's an example. So here's for semantic links. This is my sales tab group. This is what I'm talking about. So I have a tab group here that I just click, and I've got one for TreeCare HQ too. And I just open it up, and it's got all of the tabs already open for the various things that I may discuss through our conversation, which is, depending on for semantic links, it's more about a presentation. It's not so much a sales conversation. It is more about a presentation about how we operate. But for TreeCare HQ, it is very much a conversation. And so it's not so much of me demonstrating all these different resources and things or showing them all. It's more about showing them their own current presence and how they are lacking and how their competitors are outperforming them. That's basically what we do on the TreeCare call, right? I ask a lot of leading questions. That's the spin selling method. I mentioned this last week, but that's a book by Neil Rackham. SPIN is an acronym: situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. So spin selling is just a process of asking questions so that the prospect or the contact talks themselves into whatever solution it is that you present to them. And that's, again, how we do it. Okay. All of my meetings this week have been no-shows. Yeah, just find other stuff to do and work on, think about this, work on your follow-up sequences for no-shows. You should really, if you're having that many no-shows, then I would work on other methods to try to get them, to reschedule. You might want to look at some social media contacts and outreach as well. That's something that we occasionally will do if needed, where we'll, it's not in tree service industry. It's pretty much only Facebook. I mean, that's where the vast majority of tree guys have a presence, is on Facebook, but not so much like on LinkedIn and things like that. Depending on which industry you're in, you could also do multimedia or channel type of contacts. So it's not just always email and SMS, but could also be like social media contacts, things like that. Right. Anyway, hopefully that's clear. Guys, I've also talked about this before. I don't know about if I've talked about this on Hump Day Hangouts, but in addition to just the directory listing, there's other things that you can do. In my case, like for example, I like to lead with reviews. That's one of my favorite services to pitch right now, is reviews. And so if we do the listing delivery call and they don't show up, then one of the things we can do is go pull one of their 5-star reviews if they have one and create a rep video, David Sprague's rep videos. And then we can send it another message sequence to them, notifying them like, hey, really would like for you to jump on a call so we can promote your listing. We really like, by the way, congratulations on a 5-star review you received recently. As incentive for you to jump on the call to review this listing, we created this video and we added it to your listing. So you can send them a link to the video, but what I do is then mention them like, hey, we'd really like to review this with you. Again, it's just a way to kind of add more value. I wouldn't do that with all contacts that don't show, because it depends on kind of what your feeling was from how the contact engaged with your sequences, or your communication, I should say, before the actual scheduled appointment. So for example, we can look in, if I go right into high level, I can see the communication. It's all automated because I've got an AI integration. So it's all automated and I can see the communication in the conversations thread in high level for the contact. If there was a lot of communication back and forth between AI and the contact, then I know that they're more likely to still get on that call with me, even if they no-showed. If it's very basic, like yes and no's type answers from the contact through the automated sequence, then it's a lot less likely because they're not as engaged. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm surprised high level doesn't have this yet, but they probably will, where they're going to have some sort of a sentiment analysis of like how engaged or warm the contact is based upon their engagement level and the words and the phrasing that they use, et cetera. But right now I just look at the conversation thread and I can determine if it's a contact worthy of like trying to send some additional messages and give more value to try to incentivize them to get then on the call with me. Right. I'm not going to do that for all of them because that's additional work for people that have already proven that they didn't keep a commitment. But if I feel like they have a chance of converting because the engagement was higher with that particular contact, they were more engaged with the communication, then to me, it's worth a little bit of additional effort to then, maybe add a little bit more value and contact them again, notifying them of, hey, look, there's something else that we did. Again, we want to review this before we can promote it, blah, blah, blah. So guys, remember the whole point of this method is to develop goodwill and not to be pushy, but to leave the door open for when they are ready for something, which again, time and circumstance will change, always changes things for people. So that's why I don't like to be pushy. I try to constantly add something of value before asking for anything. And if I feel like it's going to be fruitful, then I will go an extra mile, so to speak. If I feel like it's not, then I won't. We'll just plug them into an automated sequence. It still leaves the door open for them, but it doesn't require any additional work. That's clear. So again, over time, James, you will figure out, you're just going to have to trial and error. Look, you've got the directory process up and running and it's generating leads for you. So it's almost like you know, one of the books that I read, and we actually studied as part of the sales mastermind group that I was in, that, you know, really helped change my business and everything. It was with Brian Caddo and Chris Greenow and Walt Nelson. And anyways, one of the books was Jason Forster's the Mindset of a Sales Warrior. Encourage you guys to get that audiobook. It's a great book or audiobook. It's because it's all based, it's like 42 chapters, I think. And each chapter is a specific sales technique or way to overcome sales objections, things like that. But not like what it's more about mindset stuff than specific tactics, which I think is much more important in my opinion. Having the proper mindset than practicing specific sales tactics. I think it's more important to have the proper mindset. Okay. And that's what the mindset of a sales warrior is all about. Great book, fantastic. And one of the chapters was talking about move the sale forward. Instead of going into a sales conversation with the end goal of I have to close this sale, that puts a ton of pressure on you, right? You put a ton of pressure on yourself when you go into a conversation with the goal of closing the sale. Instead, go into the conversation with what are the steps required to get to a sale, a close, right? If you can map that out, like, okay, then you can always just focus on what is the next step? How can I get this contact to progress or move to the next step in the sales cycle? Not close, because that's a big jump from you know, the first booked sales call to closed sale. That's a big jump. So instead of putting all that kind of pressure on yourself and telling yourself, well, I got to close the sale, instead go into the conversation knowing like, okay, what is the next step that I got to get this contact to take to move the sale forward, to get closer to the sale, closer to the close, right? Then if you do focus in on that, then you can start to test various things to move the sale forward from wherever you're stuck at. So right now you've made the progress at getting the leads coming in consistently. Now you've got to the point where they're booking calls, but now you're stuck where they're not showing up to the calls. So instead of, you know, what I would do is start working on, again, what can you do to move that contact forward in the process? Start trial and erroring different things, different messages, different, you know, places that you contact them. So different platforms, like I said, email, SMS, voice, social media. There's a number of ways that you can test different things. And like I said, I can give you guys the framework, but every industry is going to have its nuances that the only way you're going to be able to determine what's effective is through trial and error, through testing, right? That's why I keep telling everybody stick with one freaking industry. And James, I'm pretty sure you are. So this isn't directed at you, but if you stick with one industry, it gives you the ability to do this type of testing. If you try to do this across multiple industries, you'll never be effective in any of them. And that's just the case. That's the nature of how it is. I think it's more complicated now than it used to be in being effective. And selling these types of services, marketing and SEO services to businesses, you have to be really specific to their needs in order to be effective, in my opinion. And as you guys know, it's tough selling this stuff. So that's why I recommend sticking within one industry, because you learn what works and what doesn't. You figure out your messaging. You figure out which channels are the most effective in contact and outreach, et cetera. So you just practice and refine, practice and refine. You will figure out ways. Okay. So when you have that time that they're not coming and they're not showing up, make that your kind of fill-in work, is working on more follow-up messages and strategies, et cetera. Okay. Good question though. Huzaifa says, which is better title format for location pages? City, GBP, always brand. Always lead with the brand on location pages. In my opinion, that is by far the most important thing. Remember, you want to rank the location page for a local search query Huzaifa, not a service page, right? And so with any page that you want to rank for a local search query, I want to lead with the brand, right? This is who we are. Yes, we provide this service, and this is how to contact us, right? The location was established through the search, right? Tree service, you know, Pikeville. Well, if my Pikeville page comes up, then they already know they got the right page, right? So I want them to know who we are and that, yes, that service is available. So I always like to lead with the brand. And not only that, but Google does the same thing. Look at Google business profiles. What is the first part of the SEO title? It's the brand, right? And then Google appends its own brand afterwards. So I always recommend leading with the brand. Look at how the GBPs are formatted. It's the company. Look at the Google Business Profile, whether it's in the knowledge panel or in maps, either one. So knowledge panel in Google search, google.com search, or in map search, either way, when you click on a GBP and it expands, right? What is it? How do you read it? You read company name, category, location. Seriously, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we do it. It's the exact same way. I look at stuff that Google does to try to glean clues from. If Google builds its assets this way and it optimizes its assets this way, shouldn't we? Like, that's the way I look at it. So if you read a GBP, again, it's the company name, followed right below that by the categories. That's what they do. Followed below that with their location information. This is where we do it. So that's why I always do it that way. So brand, category, city, state for location pages. Service pages, you would do service plus brand, location neutral. If you're going to have supporting location pages on the site. All right. Good question. Alex says, hey, Bradley, when powering Web 2s and citations, do we be sending links one-to-one directly to all of those URLs? Or can we have those URLs in G Sheet with the ID page, in the ID page with the links going to the ID page to power up all the properties in the G Sheet? Well, we do that, which you just mentioned. It doesn't really power up. Look, here's the thing. When you're the links from Google Sheets are kind of like a redirect now anyways. It's still the things that are directly referenced within the ID page. So a direct hyperlink or iframe and embed, they're going to receive link equity directly from any links that are going to be built to the ID page. You understand? The links in the G Sheet, it's not so much about pushing link equity directly to those URLs. It is about, there's now a sheet that has a pool, so to speak, right? A collection of URLs that have accurate information published about that business location that are consolidated into a Google Sheet. And the Google Sheet is an embed code, right? That's where we've embedded the G Sheet, that now we have proper link equity with proper relevance flowing into the ID page that the G Sheet is being hit with. So it's not the same as a direct connection, a direct link from an external link source to like one of the URLs in the G Sheet, but they do benefit from them. So, and it's also helps Google to become more aware of them because it's, in other words, the G Sheet is like a container, right? The iframe, the embed is like a container that is inside the ID page, which is also a container, just a bigger container. You see what I'm saying? And so if you're shooting link equity and relevance from proper topical sources, et cetera, into that ID page, and there's a container that within the ID page is going to benefit from that, even if the individual links don't inherit specific link equity from that or not. I found it is very effective because it also it just if you understand co-citation, right? Remember, co-citation is like A to B, B to C, C to A type of a link. If you understand what I mean, it means if you've got a source that links to one thing and then it links to something else, and then there's another source that links to this thing, and then maybe one, it's about having associations. Remember, that's what semantic web is, associations. And so if you can have multiple links collected in close proximity to each other, like literally, so in the sheet together, and you have that embedded into a page that you are sending proper link equity to, it's almost like a co-citation. Those are commingling, right? Those URLs now are commingling along in an environment that has proper topical relevance and link equity flowing into it. So it benefits them and it helps Google to recognize them, which is part of, I mean, I don't just put them in the G Sheet. I also recommend that you take the URLs that are in the sheet and put them in the same as attributes of the local business schema, link out to them with Google Business Posts, all of that stuff that you're always constantly forcing Google to recognize them. But the G Sheet is a way to do it. Now, if you wanted to have direct link equity flow into those URLs, then what you would do is publish them onto the page. I don't like to do that because it makes the page too busy with links and I think it looks spammy. That's why I like to use the embedded G Sheet. But remember, you could always create an external page that wasn't the ID page. So you could create just an external cloud page. Do you get what I'm saying? Where then you could create a cloud page that then you just reference with a direct hyperlink instead of an embedded G Sheet. So the ID page, I want that to look decent because that is a brand page. I want that to look decent because I want it to index. It doesn't have to index, but I want it to. And I want it to look decent because in case anybody lands on it, it can convert. But you can create a separate cloud page that could be on Amazon S3 or any other cloud host for that matter, and use that cloud page as a link building hub where you have a direct hyperlink to all of those page URLs. And then you could just build links to that page over and over and over again, right? So I treat the ID page a little bit differently than I would with just a link building buffer page, which is what I was talking about with that cloud page. You see what I'm saying? So there's a number of ways to do it, but cloud pages are easy and inexpensive to set up. So keep the ID page looking clean and nice with the Google Sheet embed, which is still powerful. But then you can always create another cloud page or multiple cloud pages for that matter that you would direct link or embed all of those. I wouldn't do embeds because it would make the page incredibly slow to load, but you could do direct hyperlinks to all of those page URLs. So literally just create a bullet list. Just have all your URLs, concatenate them. You can extract that data directly from a Google Sheet, right? And then paste it in and boom, publish the page. Now you've got a separate link building target that you can build links to, and it's going to distribute that link equity across all those URLs, right? So the G Sheet doesn't pass link equity, not in the traditional sense, at least I've not seen it do that, but I know that it does influence the effectiveness of those, right? It's almost like a co-citation thing. Good question. Alex says, hey, Bradley, I'm sorry, that was the same one. Excuse me. YouTube comment. Do you SOP for review management? Yes, I do. I sure as hell do. We have the reactivation and reviews service, which is one of our front end services. The SOP is like 95% complete. I've got a couple of finishing touches to put on it. I was supposed to get to this week and I haven't even touched it yet. But yeah, I'd actually just finished that SOP. Well, got it to 95% last week, the beginning of last week. So yes, we have an SOP for that. And it's got a snapshot. The snapshot for high level that that's the review service that I use is built in the high level. It's not the high level native integration. It's a separate GHL Smart Reviews is what it's called. So if you're going to use our snapshot, first of all, you have to be in the mastermind to get it. But second of all, if you decided you want to use our snapshot, you have to have your own GHL Smart Reviews license, which you get from GHL Smart Apps. I think they have a lifetime deal. I think it's $9.97, but it's unlimited accounts, sub accounts. So if you use our GHL integration, we have a local leads app is what we call it, which is our managed high level accounts that we provide to DHA members. We provide you with high level, and we manage the deployment of sub accounts for you, and it has those integrations, so you don't have to pay for them, right? All you pay is the monthly fee to use our high level app. If you're in the DHA program, it's included while you're in the program, but afterwards it's $197 a month, and it's the same account level as an agency level that you're going to pay $297 a month for. The restrictions are, though, the limitations are, it is dedicated to your directory agency brand for your CRM, your primary agency sub account, your LLG or local lead generation sub accounts, and any client sub accounts that you sell as part of your directory hybrid agency. So it's limited to use for the DHA clients and assets only, but it's less, it's $100 less a month. So one third less than what the agency level accounts are through high level. And ours also comes with, we manage the deployment for you, so you don't have to bother with all that of the sub accounts. And then it also comes with all the custom integrations, including GHL Smart Reviews, and you don't have to pay separately for that. So I just make that available for DHA program members so that they don't have that added stress and learning curve of learning everything about high level, which is like a can of worms that is very difficult to open. There's so much in high level, like I don't even keep up with all of it. There's so many things coming out all the time that I don't even touch because I don't have the bandwidth for it. I stick to what I focus on, but learning high level and deploying sub accounts and configuring everything and setup, that's just going to slow people down. It's more tech hurdles for people to get to the ultimate end goal, which is what I want them to get to as part of DHA program, which is booking sales calls. Like that's the most important thing. And I don't want people getting stuck in the setup. There's still a lot of setup to do through the DHA program, but I wanted to take as much off of your shoulders as possible, which is why we provide managed high level accounts to make it easier for people to get up and running and started without the headache of learning all of those setups and integrations and everything. We manage the deployment of sub accounts for you with our custom integrations and our snapshots. Everything is always already mostly done for you so that you just have to go in and configure them based upon our SOPs. That way you can get to the marketing and sales part quicker. You see what I'm saying? So, do we have a snapshot? Or yes, we have a snapshot that has the GHL Smart Reviews integration, and that's available in the SOP. But if you're going to use your own high level account, you have to get your own GHL Smart Reviews license. Or you could use ours, and then it's included. But for people that do join the DHA program, you're not stuck with using our high levels. Some people have joined with their own high level accounts. That's fine. We'll give you the snapshots, and then you can import the snapshots into your high level account, use your own high level account. If you go through the DHA program and you're using our high level account, and at some point you want to get your own high level agency account instead of using our managed account, you're certainly capable of free to do so. And then all you have to do is request from us that we transfer the sub accounts from our agency account into your account. I've done that a number of times with DHA program members already. They get started using ours so that they don't have the additional expense and setup, the headache and tech setup and all that. And then at the end of the program, or sometimes 3 or 4 months later, I get an email from a former member, a graduate, that says, "Hey, I'm ready to get my own high level account set up. Can you transfer the sub accounts?" I say, "Yep, here's the form," because it's a form that high level provides to you with the sub account transfer request from one agency account to another. It's very simple. We can do dozens of accounts in a matter of minutes. Okay. I've done that a number of times with members. So hopefully that's clear. Casey says, "I plan to rent a tiny office space this week to convert my service area business into a GBP with a physical address. Once I have the address, I want to update my DBA to include my primary category in the business name. What is the best order of steps I should take to update my GBP quickly without risking suspension? Here are the steps I'm considering. Sign the lease, update physical address and business name on my website and ID page. That is correct. Create new citations with the updated info. That is correct. If you have existing citations out there, though, you want to update those first. Creating new citations won't. If you have existing citations with data that isn't accurate, once you've changed your business location, you've leased a office space, and that becomes your new business location. If there's existing citations on the web, it's more important to get those updated before you start building new citations. You see what I'm saying? Because otherwise you end up with conflicting data out there, which will likely cause a re-verification, right? Or a suspension when you go to update the address or change the address of the GBP, right? Or change it from service area business to physical address. If you have enough data on the web that validates that address, then I've done it a number of times where it does not trigger verification or a suspension or video verification. I've even had it where I've gotten a GBP from or changed a GBP entirely with the address and everything and gotten an email or SMS verification. And it's because of having the appropriate steps that I know that's what you're asking about. So it's not just about creating new citations. That is part of it, but you want to update existing citations too. Publish a press release about the changes. Yes, absolutely. I recommend that if you're going to do that, do a premium press release. I know it costs more, but you only got to do it that once. But the higher authority publications do add or lend some credibility to that change. So I do recommend when you're going to do it. And by the way, you want to give it at least 2 weeks, but I would say closer to 4 after the press release has been published before you try to make that change, because you want time for those to be indexed and found, whether they're indexed or not. The big ones will be, especially if you do a premium. The high authority publications, those will index, like Globe Newswire, Yahoo Finance, those types of things. But a lot of the distribution points, where it's republished, Google will crawl but won't index. But it's okay, because you want it to crawl it, because that's a validation signal. Whether it indexes or not doesn't matter. That's why I'm just telling you, I would publish a press release, preferably a premium, and I would wait at least 2 weeks, but 2 to 3 weeks before I would make the change or attempt to make the change on the GBP. Wait 1 week? No, I'd wait at least 2 to 3. Suggest changes from an unrelated Google profile. Yes, preferably local finder, local guide, Google local guide. I've actually gotten Google business profile address to update before, by just suggesting an update from my local guide account. That happens rarely, but I've actually had that happen a couple of times in the last year or so. No kidding. I'm a level 7 Google level 7 local guide. I just crossed level 7 like in the last 2 weeks. No kidding. So that'll help too. Update the GBP listing. Yeah, do that last. So sign the lease, update the physical address, update existing citations, build new citations, publish a press release, preferably a premium, wait 2 to 3 weeks, then suggest the changes through other Google profiles, preferably local guides at higher levels if possible. And then ultimately, if it doesn't change through the suggestions, the suggest and edit type thing, then you can update the GBP listing and hope that it doesn't trigger re-verification. But if you do have a valid business location, you should be able to get it re-verified anyway, right? Especially after you have a DBA and everything else. All right, couple more questions, guys, and we're going to wrap up. So it says, do you send TreeCare HQ logo on your email accounts, PFP that you use for cold email? No, we don't. I put my name in there and I put who we're with, tech specialist at TreeCare HQ. That's what it says. It says Bradley Benner, tech specialist at TreeCare HQ. So it says at the bottom of the emails, but I don't put any logos in there because that's an image. That's going to lower deliverability, right? It does. That's if you put an image in there, it's going to lower deliverability, especially on cold email. It's fine on conversational emails when you've already had established two-way communication through email, then it's fine to have it there. But when you're doing cold outreach and it's one-way communication until they reply, having a logo and an image in the email is going to lower deliverability and inboxing. Okay, more likely to show up in spam or promotions tab. So no, I don't do any images. It's also why I don't do click tracking. I do open tracking, which open tracking does add a pixel. So it acts like an image. It does. And it does lower deliverability and open rates, but I've not really experienced much of an issue with that because I keep my email account health very high, right? I got one today that was down around 96% and instantly. So I'm going to pause that one and let it get back up. I don't like it to drop below 97. All right, Huzaifa says, after a prospect replies to a cold email, when you send a message reception confirmation email, yes. Then you ask for the service area, yes. After asking for the service area, do you directly ask them to book a call to review the listing, or is there another confirmation message after the reply? Yeah, we send an acknowledgement that the service area radius was received, and then we tell them we're going to follow up with you as soon as the listing's ready for review. So yeah, again, it's all automated. Right. So once they reply, and I just covered this in the mastermind like 2 weeks ago, where I showed we've got two versions of the automations, one with the AI integration and one without. The one with the AI integration is 100% automated. The ones without the AI integration, it's semi-automated in that when they reply with their service area radius, it sends a notification that a reply has been received. It sends a notification to you, the high-level account owner, right? That then you go in and retrieve the service area radius and update that custom field in the contact record. Then there's an automation that is waiting for the trigger point is the service area radius custom field is not empty. That's the trigger. Custom field for service area radius condition is not empty. You see what I'm saying? That's the trigger. So when you extract from the replied message from the contact, it says 10 miles or 15 miles or 5 miles, whatever their service area radius is, in the non-AI version of the automation, there's a notification from high level sent via SMS and email to you that says contact replied to service area radius request, update the contact record. And so it prompts you to then go in to high level, extract the message, see it'll tell you, 15 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is that they said, and you just update that field. And when you click save, that automatically adds them into the next sequence, which acknowledges that the service area radius was received and tells them that they're going to contact them in a day or two or whatever it is when your listing is ready for review. So yeah, again, there's additional communication in that sequence. Automated 100% with AI, semi-automated without AI. Roy says, hey, Bradley, it's been a while since I asked questions on Hump Day Hangouts. Okay. I've been missing in action because of a series of events that happened that took my attention away from internet and lead gen, and I've been relying on the residual income from my current lead gen, but now I'm back at it, and I'm currently working on building out new lead gen assets, listings, and websites, okay, by optimizing my existing assets. Here are my questions. This is a big one. And it's after 5 p.m. So Adam, if you got to go, go. I'm going to finish this one up and then I'm done for the day. So, okay, get back to it. All right, so here are my questions. First, when it comes to optimizing GBP listings, what would you say are the primary ranking factors right now? Just make sure everything is completed, the categories are correct, and then, reviews are important, but all the validating data signals to help support how the GBP is optimized. So that's, again, building branded assets, tying them all back, making sure Google's aware of them, all the things that I've already talked about on today's call, putting those in the same as attributes of the local business schema that's going to go into the location landing page, linking out to supporting branded and supporting assets or external page URLs that have accurate information published about the business using Google Business Posts from the GBP, because that's a direct link connection from the GBP to validating data or pages on the web that support what Google understands about that GBP. See what I'm saying? So, and reviews, guys. So it's a combination of make sure the profile is completed properly with proper categories, etc. Then start to build a presence where you're referencing NAPW, name, address, website information for that location. So business citations, web twos, social media, all of those things all count, and collect all those URLs, put them in the same as attributes that is in the local business schema on the location landing page. That's the website URL that is linked to from the GBP. That's the location landing page. That's where local business schema goes. Put the structured data, this same as attributes in there. ID page, G sheet with all the URLs, concatenated to keywords that are relevant to that business, all the stuff that we talked about today, linking out to them with GB posts, right? All of that stuff, because you're trying to remember when you verify Google Business Profile, guys, that is the start. But Google then looks out on the web to find validating data signals to corroborate how that GBP was optimized. You see what I'm saying? So we can facilitate that. We can assist with Google developing or finding those data points, validating data points, because we can go out and manufacture them, build them, and then spoon feed that data back to Google via those avenues that I just described. Local structured data, schema, Google Business Posts, right? ID page, all of that. All right. So that's the most important thing. And in reviews, once you have those validating data signals in place, or you're in the process of getting them in place and building more of them, try to get reviews. I'm telling you, that has the biggest impact right now. When the GBP is optimized properly, if you get reviews, and it's not just reviews, period, it's the review velocity. So if the customer or the client, if you're doing lead gen, it's tough because you have to manufacture reviews, and I don't recommend that at all. I really don't, not anymore. It's too dangerous. But if it's a real client, then I always like, and that's what I always do is I go to, first thing I pitch now is I ask them, do you have a customer list? If you have a customer list, we're going to set up a review campaign for you, because that's going to have the biggest impact on your GBP performance in the short term, is to just get a flood of reviews, and it helps to make the GBP just perform significantly better. As long as it's optimized fairly well, it should respond really well to reviews. With lead gen, it's very difficult to do, guys, because I don't recommend faking reviews for lead gens, guys. It can get you in trouble now. So I don't recommend doing that. Without reviews, you're basically fighting with one arm tied behind your back. And it's hard to do with lead gen. That's why I got away from doing GBP lead gen stuff. No kidding. So anyway, I'm going to move on. It says, lately, it seems the star rating of the GBP listing has become an important metric as well. One of my listings used to rank very well with just the sheer number of reviews, but lately the listing was outranked by the listing with fewer reviews but better star rating. Yeah, that may be true too. I've not done any specific testing on that, but that's logical to me that Google would want to promote those that have higher star ratings. That makes sense to me, right? It's got a better reputation. Second, other than the reviews and the star rating, what would you say to website content and backlinks? Would you say that website content and backlinks are still important when it comes to ranking? Yeah, 100%. If so, backlink wise, would you say the traffic of the backlink itself matters? Well, that makes the link more effective. When there is traffic to the page that the link is on, it's more effective. When there's traffic to the domain, but not the page that the link is on, it's less effective. When there's no traffic at all, it's less effective. It doesn't mean it can't still produce an effect. It certainly can. Just saying traffic is a validator. Traffic makes a link more effective, right? Depending on where the traffic is, if that's clear. For example, if a backlink with 10,000 traffic better than a backlink with 1,000 traffic? No, not necessarily, because is the backlink relevant? If the backlink with 1,000 traffic is more relevant than the backlink with 10,000 traffic, I would rather go with the backlink with 1,000 traffic that's more relevant. So it depends. It's standard SEO answer. For any SEO answer, or any SEO question, the standard answer is it depends. What are the other circumstances? What are the other variables? Okay. If you have two link sources, both are relevant, then yeah, the one with the higher traffic is going to be better. And what about Ahrefs DR? I don't give a damn about Ahrefs DR. Okay. Honest to God, I don't. I don't care at all about that. Or sometimes I'll talk about DA, like high DA properties, because they can withstand more abuse if you're going to be really aggressive with link building. But I don't care two shits about DR at all. I don't. I care about relevance. Now, if you want to use that as a determining factor as a secondary metric, by all means, you certainly can. So look at relevance metrics first. If the link is relevant, and if you've got two link sources that are both relevant and one of them has a higher DR, and that's a metric that is important to you, by all means, pick the one with the higher DR. I don't care about it. I don't. I stopped caring about DA and DR 4 or 5 years ago. It's all about relevance. And I know there's other people that will probably differ with my opinion, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying my way is the only way. I'm just telling you, I don't give a damn about DR. I like topical relevance or geographic relevance. And DR doesn't matter to me. Hopefully that's clear. What difference does DR make when it comes to qualify? It doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't. And again, people can debate all they want on that. Personally, I don't give a damn about DR. So if it's important to you, use that as a metric. For me, it's not important. I don't care about it at all. Okay. I don't even look at those metrics. What about niche relevant, geo-relevant backlinks? What do they do as far as ranking a website and a GBP listing? Okay. Well, this is the resource that I always show. If I can find it. Here we go. It's in my sales presentation. I talked about this earlier. So here is my resource that I show for on sales calls. The difference. You want topical links or links with topical relevance to influence organic ranking performance. Mostly, it does have a slight influence on maps ranking performance, but it's mostly for pushing organic search performance. Links with geographic or location relevance have more of an influence on maps search performance. It does have a slight influence on organic. So it depends on what you're trying to prioritize. I try to strike a balance between both because I want to rank well in both organic and maps when possible, right? So that's the difference. Links with geographic relevance will influence maps better. Links with topical relevance influence organic traffic better, or ranking better, I mean. Third, if I were to purchase backlinks that actually help rank my GBP listing and website higher, where would you recommend I purchase backlinks from? Well, it's funny that you ask. I know this really good link provider. It's called Semantic Links that focuses specifically on link building for local SEO. Okay. So that's where I would recommend. Just go check out my sales page. You can check it out. Click Let's Talk. Schedule a call with me if you'd like. I'm happy to get on a call and go through the full presentation. You're not obligated to purchase anything. I don't do hard sales tactics for anybody. I'll show you exactly what we do at Semantic Links, the process that we go through, data analysis to determine what the campaign needs, the quantity of links, the anchor text, the topical relevance of those links. All of that is determined through our competitive link analysis reports, which is always the starting point for any link building campaign or service that we provide. And you can go to semanticlinks.io and book a call with me. And I'm happy to jump on an hour-long call with you and show you exactly what we do. Okay. But specifically, we do this exact type of link building right here, right? To help you get better performance in both organic search and map search. So go check it out. All right, guys, we're late. I got to wrap it up. So thanks everybody for being here. We've got both a Build with Bradley meeting and a Mastermind with Bradley meeting tomorrow, or webinar tomorrow. So from 2 to 3 p.m. is the Build with Bradley meeting, and then from 3:30 till 5 p.m. is the Mastermind webinar. I had to back them up on the same day because I was traveling last week. So anyways, if anybody wants to join, tomorrow would be a really good day. See you guys.